Hello everyone, today I'm potting on some chilies, some peppers and some aubergines that I sowed just about a week ago. But first I'm just going to nip down to the allotments where Steve is up a ladder, apparently for no reason. Thanks Steve. I'm up a ladder apparently for no reason, but there is a reason. I wanted to show some of the clips that are on this polytunnel because I was asked a question yesterday. So quickly, this is a P clip. You can see it's bolted here and wraps all around this tube to the other side where it's bolted through, and this holds this crop bar on. Now you could move this plastic, I won't now because it's frozen, and you can open these clips and place them anywhere on your hoops you want. You've just got to make sure that the diameter of the clip of this well, it's actually a Q clip, is match, as long as that diameter matches your tube. And it's the same with all the fittings, make sure it matches your tube. And the best way to do that is to search for manufacturers of polytunnels online and then find one that uses the same diameter tube as your polytunnel. So if you're wanting to retrofit a tunnel later and you don't know who manufactured your tunnel, it's easier to do that than to search around for clips on, say, eBay or somewhere like that. Find a manufacturer who manufactures your tube or your thickness, diameter of tube, and then look at the fittings that they've got. And don't just stick with one, because some will make inferior quality. Like these are, no, these are quite thick. The ones I've got in my big tunnel are a bit thinner, but they do the job, and they were a lot cheaper. So it's always best to look around. Now we'll just reposition the camera and show you a couple of clips down here. Now for fixing side rails to your hoops, which is a good idea because then, like underneath here, I've got mesh here for ventilation. That's something that's going to happen a bit later. You can use one of these clips. I think these are called saddle clamps. They just fit to the wood and the diameter of your tube goes through, so you can fix the timber to the side. And this whole sidebar arrangement and the base rail, I've got two there, adds strength and rigidity to your tunnel, but you can build off that, and if you want to build a bench you can do that sort of thing there. So that's yeah, one of those saddle clamps. One more clip to show you. Now this is an exhaust clamp corner setup for your side rails, and it all comes apart. This wraps around your hoop and then that goes over the top of it, and then this rail connects together there and you bolt it up. But what you're left with is this concoction around your tube, which you can then fix your side rails to. So that's a good one. They're exhaust clamps. Again, you've got to get the same diameter as the diameter of your tube. Now I will be building off that side rail and possibly the base rail as well to build the bench in here. So that gives you a rough idea of some of the fittings I'll be using, or I have used already, to build the bench off. So I think it was Denise that asked the question about that. Anyway, back to Steve in the greenhouse, where apparently he's gone missing. Thanks Steve. I haven't gone missing. I was just getting these off the propagator in the kitchen. These are my chilies, peppers and aubergines. I'm going to pop these on now. And I've got a compost that's been sat on my propagator overnight, so this is all warmed, so it will help with these plants as I pot them on, because these have come off a warm propagator. I want to keep everything the same temperature as possible, as I did with the sowing. When I had my compost bags on here with the probe in them, so they would all come up to temperature, and the water and the seeds, leave them in there overnight. And you can do the same with a little tiny propagator, or just simply put compost in trays and put them in your propagator just to warm them up, and it helps with those warm weather crops. And it's why now I've got seedlings up like this very quickly. So I'll just get reset up and then we'll get these potted on. Now there are many ways of potting things on, and everyone has their own way. And one of the things I read most often over the years is they talk about young seedlings like this. What we've got here is just a seedling, just a stalk, and its seed leaves, its first leaves. And one of the things they recommend for potting on is that you wait for the next set of leaves beyond the seed leaves, which are its first true leaves. I don't. I'm too impatient, and I find I can get them out of compost easier this way, like so. And all I'm going to do is just pop them in a tray and put a little bit of compost around them. It's a little bit fiddly at the start, but I'm very ham-fisted and I can manage. If I can manage, anyone can. So these are Chillies, and the variety is Anaheim. It's a very mild chilli, and the stem is a little bit long, and that's down to the light at this time of the year. And I spoke about this on a recent video, and I'll put a little card up to it now, to just the point where you can read or see the bit about the light and what it's doing at this time of the year to your plants. And if you want to see the whole video, which I do recommend, just rewind the video to the beginning. But I can get away with it. I can cheat the system and grow this on now like this, even though these are a bit long, by deep planting them. They're going into quite shallow trays now. These are container wise trays. They're solid. Sorry, excuse me. They're solid trays. And I shall keep potting them on, and before these get final planted, they will be potted on probably twice more from now, and just to keep the plants moving. More about that when it happens and why I do it. But for now, they're just going in these trays, and although they look a bit long and leggy, they'll be fine, and we'll see that over the weeks and months that follow. See, it's all about knowing what you can and can't get away with. So I'll bring you back when I've finished these chilies, and we'll move on to the next variety to pot on. So moving on now, I've got 10 chilies there potted on. Don't need all them, I only need 1 or 2 plants. And these are onto my peppers now, and I've got a long red Marconi and a dulcet Hispania. You can see that the dulcet are only just really coming through. There's actually a trail of slug there. Anyway, so I'm going to pot some of these on, get these in here, then I'll bring you back for the aubergines. Right, I was in the middle of doing these, and I thought you might like to see this. I've got a few seedlings here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 in a tiniest little bit of compost, and because the compost is sieved, they come apart that easily. Just need to grab hold of them by the seed leaf and just gently pull, and they'll come apart nice and easily. And that's because you've sieved your compost, and that's how important it is, especially if you want to really get seedlings going like this. So easy to do. You don't damage the little plants or the roots, and then you can just feed a little bit of compost in around them just to bed them in, and that's it. This is the benefit of sieving your soil, sieving your compost. To get, to fill that takes no more than 10 seconds. It's surprising the amount of people who don't bother doing it, or worse still, will actually say you don't need to do it. When all things considered, it's highly beneficial in many ways. It surrounds your seed with compost. You haven't got the cavities because you've got these sort of big lumps there. Allows your seed to get evenly wet from the moisture in the compost, and it germinates better. So these, as I say, 11 days ago I sowed these into warm sieved compost. The water I watered them was warm because it all came off the propagator. The seeds were warm, the compost was sieved, and 11 days later I'm potting peppers and chilies on. That's how quick it is, just if you take a little bit of time and get a few of these things right. So I've potted up 10 chilies there, and I've got spares on the propagator. They're still in the tub, and 30 of these long red Marconi. Now I've got 3 or 4 other varieties of pepper sown, and I don't even need 30 plants in total. So I know some of these won't survive. They won't get all the way through. Things will happen, but I will have half a dozen of each variety. That's probably more than enough for me. I've got backups there should I need it. I'll just let them carry on growing. But this now creates space on the propagator in the kitchen, so got spare trays here. I'll just take the lids off and get something else going, keep that cycle going. So that's peppers done for now. I've even got a tray of California Wonder peppers. It's still in the kitchen on the propagator. Not one seed is shown yet, and don't worry about that, because some varieties will germinate ultra quick and others will take weeks. I do know one gardener, Eli, at Kate and Eli's kitchen garden, where she said her peppers last year took about a month before they were through, and I've experienced that as well. They can take some time. I don't know the reason why, but it does happen, and you can just have to wait sometimes. So there we go. Don't worry if they don't come through as fast as mine have. I say they were all treated the same. The California Wonders haven't come up yet. The rest have, but there we go. Right, onto the aubergines. Right, so I'm going to do my aubergines now, and I'm going to do this slightly differently. On the last tray, when I was doing the peppers, I just half filled the tray with compost, dangled the seedling over it and filled around it. I'll do this slightly differently. I filled the trays up this time, and I'm putting holes in with the blunt end of a marker pen. It's a Sharpie in this case. And again, I'm going to prick these seedlings out because these are a little bit longer. Not much, but a little bit longer. If I left them a bit longer, they would get longer. But again, I'm just going to hold on to the seed leaf and then just knock a little bit of compost off them because the roots aren't that long. There we go. You can see them clearer there. And then with the hole quite deep, I'm going to pop it in and just bed it in, and that's good enough. And as these plants grow, when they get too big for these cell trays, they'll get potted on again. And if they are long due to the light levels at this time of the year, if they become etiolated and start to stretch out, I'll just deep plant this plug into the next pot up, and I'll probably plant up into, don't think I've got one to hand to show you, but basically a 3-inch pot, and that plug will go right to the bottom with very little compost underneath to take up any of the extra stretchiness of the stem. And you'll find that if you were to take the compost out around it, you'll find that these plants will grow roots from the stems themselves. So that's all there is to it really with potting these on. I've got two types here. I've got this one, which is your standard black purple one, the money maker. We've all seen those in the supermarkets and probably grown them before. And I've got a thinner one I've never tried before called Viserba, and it's basically it's a thin one. So I thought we'll give that a try this year and see how we get on. But this is all I'm going to do, and again it's in warmed compost. The seeds were started the same way on the same day as the peppers, and again they're doing marvellously well. So it doesn't get any easier than this, and these will go back into the propagator because this compost is still warm, and we're in with a fighting chance of some aubergines this year. So I'll pot on, well, probably all of these. Just fill this tray up with aubergines, and then what we get, we get. Again, don't really need a lot of plants, but I've got them, so I'll try and grow them and just keep selecting the best ones. Probably only need no more than half a dozen anyway. See, once you get into a rhythm, it's fairly quick to get done. As long as you've got some roots, they'll take root. There we go. And there's sort of 10 done very, very quickly. Done. So there we go. There's about 30 aubergines potted on there. Say I won't need all of them. All you've got to do now is just make sure they keep them moist, not soaked. You don't want to drown them. And keep your eye on underneath. Check to see what's going on underneath the plant. because at the moment you see roots coming out from underneath from those cells, it's time to pot them on. So it's a good indication of what's going on inside there as to when you need to pot them on. Keep them on the move all times. There we go, that's them done. So that's it. I'm going to tuck those plants away in the propagator now and put the flaps back down, and then just on a daily basis come out and check them. But that's how I cheat the system at this time of the year to get plants going. Can have problems. I will lose some of those plants because of the way I've treated them, because I do rough handle all my plants. It's just the way I garden. But we'll get out what we want, hopefully. If not, I'll go and buy plants from a nursery. I'm not above going and doing that if I need to do that. But the thing is, I've actually tried, and on most years this will work and work really well for me. And it's cheating the system because, as I explained in another video just recently, you can't really get plants going at this time of the year, but you can if you know what you're doing. And hopefully I've given you that information in this last couple of videos, whereas you can confidently go ahead and put seeds into soil, into warm soil, into sieved soil, get them going and then pot them on, and then you've got the space free on your propagator to go and get something else propagated. This is the thing is key, is to get things moving on and get the next thing started. So that's where we're up to now. So I'll be sowing more seeds soon. Anyway, but that's it for today. Please look after yourselves everyone and stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.